I'm going to resume. Nice. We'll probably cut out a lot of the chit-chatty stuff, and if there's anything useful that's being said, we'll keep it in. But
sounds good.
Yeah,
sounds good.
So just my presentation. I'm joking.
your presentation.
Version did you start with, Jaina?
Sorry,
What version did you start with when you started with Sitecore?
6.5 or 6.4.
Yep.
Yeah.
6.5 is when I started as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has come a long way.
Yep. What was your first Sitecore job, Ken?
Ontario Real Estate Association here in Toronto, and
Gotcha.
yeah, it's funny. I tell this story all the time. I remember the exact day I started because it was literally I had the interview. I think it was Friday, and I got the offer. Sorry, I got the offer on Friday. It was October 23. It was my first day, but the Friday before that, October 23, 2011. They gave me the offer, and they were launching Sitecore sites that weekend. So when I got to work on the Monday, it was, okay, here's Sitecore, and you need to learn this. So literally dove right in head first.
That's crazy.
Yeah, got my developer certification, got my Sitecore administrator certification, I got my marketer certification, all within 6 months of being at the company. Yeah, we had 5 business units, and they wanted to do everything on the first day. So it was like just fire hose, drink. But I'm thankful for the experience because it totally shaped my career, and I met Dennis through the whole organization. And
oh, did you? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually, Aurea was one of our early customers when I founded my first Sitecore practice. And then Ken left there, and he seemed like he knew a thing or two. So he's been with me through now two different companies now. We kept him around.
Yeah, I keep following him.
Very cool.
He's a good leader, and I just follow.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Tiffany. Tiffany and I work together at Proficient.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Nice. Hey, Jaina, do you see the poll button on your controls now that you're a co-host?
Yes, I do.
You can launch those anytime you want, or create something else if you like as well. Okay, great. Obviously, the first one last. You can switch.
Yeah. Actually, are we ready to get started? Because maybe we could just start with the poll. I think that might be a good way to get everyone.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, I don't get to vote. Oh
yeah, me either.
What? That's just a shame.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Megan, do you get to vote?
Nope.
No, because she's a
We're admins.
What a ripoff.
That's all right.
Well, we'll just have to say it then.
That's right. Yeah. We got one in. Come on, guys. It's more of a pressure situation.
Yeah.
We know the rest of you are all there, and we will expect everybody to chime in. Go. 2, 3. Nice.
So we have 2 more, right?
That's right.
I'm so new to the Sitecore, so I guess number 2 really.
Okay.
I'll just
Right.
select it.
I should have put a none of the above too, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
Next time.
That's right. So you can just submit a none.
I select the first one. It's a great job.
All right, just 30 more seconds, all right? And then we'll move on. Okay.
All right.
There we go. Cool.
All right. Cool.
So how about I get started with my presentation, and one of the first things we'll do is an intro of everyone. I know a lot of us have been on the call on this before, but I think there are a couple new faces here. So we'll do a quick intro, and while you guys intro, maybe you can talk about your poll results as well on, why you voted the way you voted, and that would give Megan, Dennis, and I a chance, I guess, to talk about what we would have voted for as well.
Sure.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Not
It's
yet.
coming up. Coming. It says you have started, but nothing has come up quite yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it just froze my computer, if you guys can still hear me.
Yeah,
Yep.
we can. Yeah.
Okay. I think this
Jaina,
happened to me the last time too.
Do you want us to start with introduction? Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Yay.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is what we're chatting about today. And yeah, let's start with intros, but then I'll go into what is OrderCloud, why headless commerce, a quick overview, of architecture and APIs, and then since this is strategy lunch, how do you start planning for OrderCloud, and what does the strategy look like? And then some resources and more to learn there. Okay, so let's go around the room and just talk about name, company, role. What are you working on these days? What's exciting? And then maybe a quick answer to your OrderCloud or your commerce experience question that you put in the poll. So I'll get us started, and maybe just also ping the next person as well after you're done. So I'll get us started. I'm Jaina Baumgartner. I work for RDA. I'm the Director of Digital Solutions there. A 3-time Sitecore Strategy MVP with my fingers crossed right now, as I'm sure all prospective MVPs are. Yeah. And then I guess what have I been working lately? I mean, a lot of things, but commerce is definitely top of mind, and figuring out our play there in terms of what a workshop could look like, what an offering looks like with OrderCloud, having our we have our Head Start instance ready to go. So that's a big part of what we're doing these days. And with that, I will, and the answer to the question. So interestingly enough, yeah, I've never worked on XC, except for the Head Start demo. I haven't done a whole lot with OrderCloud either, but we are absolutely looking at OrderCloud at RDA, and RDA themselves have a lot of experience with both XC and with custom commerce implementations, which OrderCloud plays a really good part in. With that, I'll hand it over to Dennis.
All right. I'm Dennis Augustine. I am at Conabos. I'm a partner there. And my role is I've been business development sales, but I also do CX architecture. I'm a 5-time Sitecore MVP, hoping for number 6, once in strategy. The most recent one's in the ambassador category, where I shall remain. And yeah, we have done XC implementations, have a customer who's considering OrderCloud on their roadmap and really trying to make the case for what to go there, and also is looking at other headless commerce options. So it's going to be an interesting ride to see where they end up, and some of the stuff I'll see here today will inform that discussion. And in terms of how Sitecore is done, I think in terms of communicating the direction, I would say, okay, could be better, room for improvement, but it's a good start. I'll go Megan, and then.
All right, I'm Megan Jensen. I actually work with Jaina at RDA. I'm a digital strategist. I've been working with Sitecore for about 5 years. Have not done a commerce implementation yet, but like everyone, I'm excited to do it. I'm really excited about the simplification of implementing it as a PIM. I've been on a few projects where we've used like In River as a PIM and integrated it, and it's messy and hard. So the potential to have that all in one platform is really exciting and interesting to me. And I think Sitecore has done an okay job rolling this out. One of my gripes suggestions is just better education and training for strategists and just regular marketing people. So much of their training is really developer focused. And I wish there was a great place to, point prospective clients or current clients to, learn more about specific parts of the platform. So, yeah.
Megan, I'm this is completely out of turn, but it's funny that you say that because I went through the enablement training for OrderCloud that Sitecore provided, and the very first session was an intro to OrderCloud session, and they deep dived right away into APIs and code, and there was no strategy, like why are we doing OrderCloud? What is OrderCloud? Like they went so deep into the technical aspects that there wasn't that step back of what it is about. So I'm actually hoping that this gives that step back on what it is about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mr. Park, I'll turn it over to you if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Victor. I also go by O. I'm a self-employed web consultant. I'm in Connecticut right now, but my client base is mainly within universities up in Massachusetts. And so I noticed universities are requiring more sophisticated system these days, or more CMS, and they're heavily tied in with the LAMP stack technology these days. So I am hired to look into three CMS these days: Sitecore, Umbraco, and Episerver, or they're probably calling themselves different names now. So my job is to compare these CMS and do a report to these universities. And so I'm just, right now I'm at a discovery phase, just logging into, Zoom chats or whatever they're talking about, either Sitecore or Umbraco. So I'm just collecting data right now.
Nice to have you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'll chime in as well. One of the great things about the Sitecore space that you won't find necessarily on the marketing materials or technical documentation is these people, the community. Community is like none other that I've ever been in. I've been in technology for a number of years, and the Microsoft community, Google, all that kind of stuff is great, but there's nothing like the real community feeling that we have here in the Sitecore space.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Yeah, there is no community like the Sitecore community, for sure.
Lots and
That's
lots.
what I hear.
Yeah. Who you calling on, Victor?
I'm sorry?
Who's next?
Oh, sorry, I need to pass it into, I'm sorry. Let's see here. I will pass it over to Ken.
All right.
Yeah.
So I am with, as Dennis mentioned earlier, I'm with Konabos. I am the CX strategist there, two-time Sitecore strategy MVP. So I'm trying to catch up to Jaina. And interesting that you should mention that the training and the coaching is always focused on the developer side. So over the last several years, I've been actually coaching and training individuals on the strategy side of things as it relates to Sitecore, and actually at Konabos, that is my main objective for 2022. So look for some programs and courses in that area, especially as we learn more about the OrderCloud. Definitely be sharing some material on that as well. So I look forward to this talk from you, Jaina. Maybe we can collaborate on some of these courses that we're going to create for 2022, because
I would love that.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, I would love that. And I mean, Megan too, she's quite the training expert too. So yeah.
Actually, I think, are you on, I think I've seen your name, Megan, on one of the training platforms like Udemy or something like that. Are you on there?
Oh, no, not me.
Okay, maybe a different Megan. Okay,
That might be.
but in any event, yeah, so that's what I do. I'm a CX strategist, corporate trainer, Sitecore trainer. Been doing it for X number of years, as we mentioned earlier. So I'm going to pass it on to Dave.
Hey, everybody. First time I think I've had an opportunity to join one of the lunches, and because it seems like something always gets in the way. So I'm really excited to finally get to hang out with the group. I'm Dave Mckellar. I'm the VP of Digital Solutions at Horizontal. Also strategy MVP, also going to be really angry if I don't get re-upped. Been in the space for with Sitecore for about 9 years. I look after global revenue strategy for the business, so I'm basically a sales guy. But my roots are all in consulting, and that's what I really enjoy. Have a fair amount of background in commerce. Been working quite a bit with OrderCloud lately. Coincidentally, the whole OrderCloud team that Sitecore purchased is a couple blocks away from us here in Minneapolis, so we know them very well and collaborate with them very closely. I would agree that, like most things Sitecore, their bedside manner is not necessarily the best, and so the rollout probably could have been smoother. And will continue, whether OrderCloud or frankly any of the other products. Some of that is to be expected, obviously. We complain a lot about that kind of stuff in the Partner Advisory Council, and I think their hearts are in the right place, certainly, and they try, but they could use a little bit of help once in a while. So I'm on my survey, I actually marked all of the answers because all of them were accurate. Where we have active OrderCloud projects in flight, we have a lot of conversation about OrderCloud happening. We have work that we've done and are doing in Legacy XC. So it's kind of across the board for us. Oh, and I'm supposed to pass it to somebody.
All right, Dave, you'll have to keep me honest then with this presentation.
Well, I don't know about that. Like I said, I'm just the sales bro. So let's go over to Tiffany.
Thanks, Dave. Oh, I'm going to put on my camera too while I'm introducing myself so everybody can see my face. I'm Tiffany. I'm a digital strategist at Proficient. Currently working on just honestly primary personalization and testing within Sitecore. However, super excited to learn more for OrderCloud. I do know we have a couple of things coming down the pipeline, so just want to be prepared for that. Definitely have the same gripes with Sitecore as Megan and you guys as well. I wish there were some more trainings that were specific to digital strategists and resources that really spoke to our point of view. But as news comes about with Sitecore, I do think they do a decent job of at least trying to keep us in the loop as much as possible. So, but really great to meet everybody today as well. And I believe I should pick someone else.
I think it's just Keaton.
Ethan? Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. There you go. We see.
So this is actually my first time I'm attending the Sitecore launch. So hello to everyone, hello to the community. In terms of myself, I'm based out of New York. So I work with a digital agency, iCreon, based out here in the New York region. Most of our clients are in this region, but we are looking in terms of expanding into the other areas as well. As far as Sitecore is concerned, I have done one project with XC that was in 9.2, and recently we upgraded to 10.1. So that was a bit of a challenge though. In terms of OrderCloud, that is something very exciting, I believe, and Sitecore has done a good job in terms of communicating what exactly it's about and how we can pivot in terms of XC to OrderCloud. So one of the things that is interesting and in our roadmap is migrating from XC to OrderCloud, which is again a challenge in its own, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this presentation in terms of understanding how we can plan for that.
Great. Awesome. Then without further ado, I'm going to get it started. Okay, so I'm sure this is, not news to anybody in terms of what is OrderCloud. So OrderCloud is an API-first headless e-commerce tool, and one of its big purposes is B2B, but it can certainly be used for B2B2C or B2C. But because a lot of B2C use cases are more simplistic, platforms like Shopify and stuff like that can fulfill it more easily or quickly than OrderCloud can. And there is really no differentiator for OrderCloud in that space. However, there's nothing that makes OrderCloud B2B only. OrderCloud, happened with Sitecore's acquisition of 451. And it has a mock architecture, which means that it's microservices, API first, cloud native, and headless. And really, there is no head to OrderCloud. Head Start is its best head, I guess, if you stand up the Head Start demo for OrderCloud. But outside of that, it has no head. It's just an API platform. So that's the only way you can really talk to OrderCloud. It's extremely customizable. And the main personas that it has is buyer, seller, and supplier. So for those personas, it's very, very customizable, unlike probably most platforms out there. And then everything is built on Experience APIs. And it makes it so that, you feel like you can customize it to create whatever you need to for your customers. So the more complex the solution, the better the fit that OrderCloud is for it. All right, so why OrderCloud? It's a future-proof commerce system. Again, it can handle a lot of different use cases, B2C, B2B, marketplaces. Obviously, I talked about headless development, which allows it to have the diverse experiences and be able to evolve faster for your customers' needs. And if things change with the business practice or anything of the customer, even switching out OrderCloud for something else is a lot easier than if you had a headed commerce tool. And then you can basically integrate anything, right? So it's not just for websites. It could be used for anything or any system of your own. So basically, when do you use OrderCloud? And I actually interviewed Mark Johnson last year in our Sitecore Summit series. It's a series I run per month. But Mark Johnson said something that really stuck with me on what OrderCloud is. So basically, you can buy your house, right? You can buy your house, and buying your house is right for most people out there, So if you want a house that looks like every other house, go and buy it, right? And OrderCloud is not a buy your house situation. OrderCloud is build your house, right? So you build your house from scratch, you build it exactly the way you want it. And that way you can create a house that's perfect for you. It really allows customers to create an experience that might differentiate themselves in the marketplace, differentiate themselves from their competitors. That might be a lot harder to do with a headed solution. So here's a quick overview of the architecture. On the top is your customer experience. So basically having, a mobile optimized platform, being able to have a buyer interface, a seller interface, your workflows and approvals, your roles and organizations. And even as you're thinking about, well, how am I planning for it? These are the aspects you want to think about. Like, what is your customer buyer experience going to be? What is their seller user interface going to be? What is workflow and approvals going to look like? What are the roles and their organization? And then mapping all of that out in your data models to make sure that that's understood as you're going into this. Then looking at your developer tools, right? So you're going to have, what are your integration points? What is the data model? And then in OrderCloud, just to confuse everything, there is the term XP, which actually does not stand for Sitecore XP in any regard. It stands for extensible properties. So it's all about like how you would extend the OrderCloud properties that or of the models that already exist. Then in the middle are all of your RESTful APIs that talk to OrderCloud. And then you have your e-commerce features, right? So how do you manage your product catalog? How are your buyers and sellers managed? What does order look like? What does promotion, pricing, payments look like? Do you have multi-location or multi-currency, and how you're going to handle that? And then finally, it's the infrastructure, which obviously OrderCloud comes, it comes with it. And then you want to think about all the integration points and your partner technologies, tax, payments, PIM, marketing, search, analytics, all of personalization, all of those aspects. So here are the main aspects that you want to think about as you're thinking about OrderCloud and mapping each of these. Then here are the APIs for OrderCloud. So the main thing is, how are you going to query, create, and modify your commerce? And there are three pillars, really: your user pillar, your product pillar, and your order pillar. And as you're thinking about this, again, here are the areas that you really want to focus on in terms of, do you have requirements for each of these different categories? And what do those requirements look like? As you're planning for OrderCloud, here are 5 steps to get you started. So the first step is, is it the right tool for the situation? Because OrderCloud is not right for everyone. And like I said, it's all about, building your house. So is building the house necessary? And the main way to look at it is the commerce need complex enough to build the house? And do they have a long-term vision with that commerce need? And if they fulfill those 2 criteria, then OrderCloud is probably right. The second step is creating your user journeys. So around especially those 4 main personas, so your admin persona, your buyer persona, your supplier persona, and your seller persona. What do those journeys look like? So that is probably the next step, to map out each of those journeys and figuring out exactly what it looks like. The next one is mapping out your data model. So, I laid out all of the different APIs. Obviously, there's more detail to that, but figuring out exactly what those requirements are and then mapping it out to that data model in terms of, this is what workflows look like, this is what approvals look like, this is what the OrderCloud data model is, and then mapping out the customer requirements to that data model. The fun part to me is creating the user experience then. So what is that customer user experience? And the cool part about OrderCloud, again, is that experience for the buyer could be anything, because you have this headless front end. So you have full say in what that design, what that experience looks like for the buyer. And interestingly enough, for the most part, for the admin as well, you can set up the experience exactly the way you want with OrderCloud. And then finally, all of the system integrations, especially to your ERP and CRM systems for your order intake and your customer management. But then also all the other integrations that I mentioned, like for tax, for payment, all of those things as well. And finally, here is some resources. Well, the best place to get started for anything OrderCloud is OrderCloud. Go to ordercloud.io, and you can create your free account and just start there with learning more about OrderCloud and understanding more about it. As well as setting up your Head Start site to get more acquainted with OrderCloud. All right, and this was a quick presentation, so that's all I have. Any questions on any of this or comments? We have Jason now too, so we could direct all of our questions to him as well. Hi, Jason.
Hello. Sorry I joined so late.
No issue.
Now we all have to stop talking because Jason's responding on us.
Oh no, Jason likes the straight goods because he's really good at that. That's really good. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, one thing that that getting started and finding that ideal customer with those complex situations, and I really appreciated as well what you mentioned, Jaina, about the build your house versus kind of buy your house sort of approach.
That was a great analogy.
Yeah, because I think that kind of speaks to the pivot overall to this more composable direction. I think a lot of times we've been talking about the composable direction as like a technology play. We get right into, okay, it's headless and here's how the APIs work and let's dig into the plumbing. And we fail to address like the point of the exercise, which was to have that modular approach to the business functionality
Right.
and putting
right.
it together to match. I mean, I think it's, you know, it's like I like to say, the deluxe Lego set approach of building the things. I think that's probably lost on a lot of us when we talk about these shifts. We think it's a technology play. So I love that you brought that out.
I think what's super fun about those conversations, at least for us, if we're in either a sales motion or just talking with an existing client about options, whether OrderCloud or just more headless in general, and one of the first things I ask is, well, can we see a demo?
Yeah.
Like, well, not exactly, because there's nothing to show and it's a bunch of APIs. And so obviously you can use things like the starter kit, or you can leverage an existing OrderCloud client and kind of give them a conceptual idea of what it is. But the whole point is, this is a pile of bricks. There's nothing to demo for you. You need to build the house, right? That's the whole idea. But it can be very difficult for clients to wrap their heads around the construct of, we're really giving you a pile of bricks here. We're not giving you something that has even a backend admin. And that's the part where people are like, well, how do I manage my orders? Well, you decide that together and build it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the sell is you have, you can create whatever you want. So like start with, well, what is that experience look like, for you? And then go down to the pile of bricks that create that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think,
go ahead, Ken, sorry.
no, I was going to say, I think that's the good point, is that, if you have an experience, or if you have in your vision an experience that you want to create that is different than what you would get on the out of the box, if you will, platforms, then that's your starting point. Like, you have to come to that conclusion that what we want to create for our users is actually much different than, like you mentioned earlier, the Shopify's or, those other out of the box type platforms. From there, like you said, you just get the blocks and let's build, as David said, and let's
I think
build it together.
it's an easier conversation to have in many cases, at least in my experience with, an e-com manager or a merchandiser or someone like that, in terms of the end user experience that they'd like to create. We don't want Shopify because it is too much of a box and it's too templated or whatever. We need something that we need. But then when you flip that around and you talk about the administrative UI that they and their teams are going to be using to actually manage e-commerce as a business, that they start to be like, whoa, if you're giving them a completely blank canvas in that conversation, they have a really hard time, and at least in my experience, wrapping their head around that. So leveraging the starter kit or an existing client example or something to show a little bit of the art of the possible, I think is really important, because otherwise it's like, I don't know. Because you ask the question, well, what do you want that experience to be? What do you need it to be? and they'll get real spun up real quick about that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Megan.
Oh, no, I'm doing the certification for the sales and marketing for OrderCloud, and they did some really great case studies, videos, and seeing that and like seeing how it actually looks and actually functions for like Aveda and Bachman's and some different businesses, like it all clicked then. And I got really excited about, oh my gosh, now you can think of all the things you could do with it. It helps to visualize it a bit.
Great.
Absolutely. I love this pile of bricks analogy too, right? And I mentioned architecture before, and I think that this new space really elevates architects, because, if I'm building my dream home or an office building for my team to work in, and I just, give you a pile of bricks and say, what do you want me to build? Well, I think I've kind of abdicated that architecture role. But if I'm really going to do a great job of creating a place for you to live or work in, and you just start talking about your goals and what's important to you and the kind of life you want to live, and then design a house, and then pick the right bricks to put together to execute that. And I think that that's changing the conversation a little bit, as opposed to, just buy the prefab. That's like the next one next to like your neighbors, and one next to that, and one next to that. That's, I think, that the right level of customer for us is exactly as Dave said, the kind who understands that, they want to be able to think deeply about the process and make that thing fit them. So yeah, totally loving this concept. Yes, Jason.
I think the opportunity for those of us who are in the partner community is to come forward with points of view in terms of how those experiences can manifest. Because again, I see so many glazed over looks when we talk about, basically having full and complete control over the entire experience, not only the front end, but the back end. And so I think the videos are a really great example. Bachman's and Aveda are both two really interesting case studies. Winmark is another one. There's definitely examples out there available to sort of give folks an idea of the art of the possible, really coming in with some sort of a point of view on the intersection of those personas, the buyer, the seller, supplier, and the admin, is really helpful in the conversation, just to give some sort of orientation or frame of reference. Otherwise, they feel like they're looking at this vast unknown, and they just kind of freeze up at that point. Unless obviously it's a mature organization that's really accustomed to headless paradigm and is used to mock and that sort of thing, then they'll be like, sure, fine, whatever.
Rare birds indeed.
Right now they are, for sure.
Not soon. We're trying to change that.
Yeah, definitely.
I know that, I don't know, has other people played with those like Lego boxes? They're like the 3-in-1s that they have, like, and I think based on what I was hearing with the conversation, it sounds a lot like what we're doing is we're giving you the box of the 3-in-1 with all the bricks.
Yeah.
We took the instruction manual out. And it's like, go build whatever you want. But the beauty of that is like, we'll show you. No, here are some things you could build. Now you go build whatever you want. But here's a couple of ways you could take the exact same set and build different things. That's, I think, what would be great to have is those different options. So you can see, well, this is like in those videos, but actually able to see the whole thing, how it comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So more on that side, I think, and also like Dave was saying it's also that, yeah, show them the art of the possible. And also I think just we need to talk more about the business aspects of the composable ships, so that the conversation becomes one that is not just for the web manager and the digital manager, but really for the C-suite, because I don't think you can actually do this without the C-suite being engaged, because it touches on everything, right? If I'm modeling my product, well, that goes to the point of what my products are and what are their attributes. And so all of that, I think, is a broader conversation, which I think is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I agree.
Hear
And
from
pair that
Victor.
up with the new Discover capability. It's a fairly unbeatable combination, but it does, again, it's a paradigm that in some cases those folks in the C-suite will struggle to wrap their heads around initially. But yeah, you're not going to get very far without them, in the room.
Yeah.
I have a question for Victor. He mentioned earlier that he's working with universities, and I guess as you're evaluating, platforms for a university, how does a university's needs kind of fit with commerce? And what are you looking for, or what would you look for?
Yeah, Ken, thanks for asking. But depending on the university as well. So I work directly for MIT, and they have a host of other various CMS systems, commerce systems. It's scattered, but nothing sort of unified or cohesive. So there's one department that has hired me to look into a CMS that that has more, of course, like you're saying, the headless is now becoming very, common practice, and but more of a system that has the features, for today's, business requirements and the business logic. So I think personalization is one big key function that they're looking for. As more and more universities are now utilizing these features to, recruit, faculty members, to, donors, etc. So they need that feature, and they're really far behind in terms of strategy. And so I'm going in there to sort of help, explain what's involved and, what are some of the latest technology that they can utilize. And it's, it's growing, and they have various departments that have, various needs. Obviously, they got labs and centers that require much more, computational power to even AI to some degree. And but there are departments that are also on a shoestring budget, so they can't really afford enterprise systems like this. And so it's divided into a few different buckets where I have to kind of provide solutions that fit all their needs. And I think Sitecore, I've seen the demo, used it a few times, but right now I think right now, like I said, I'm just at a gathering data phase right now, looking into license. And I did have a question about the license part of it. How is it different than the license fee that you get into, compared to this, the cloud? Is it pretty much the layer of bricks that's all packaged for you? Whereas when you buy into the license fee, you're pretty much buying the land and the bricks that come with it, and you're customizing it completely. So it seems like the SaaS model seems like it's more convenient for a lot of businesses to not worry about the sort of the back end maintenance, that they have to take care of, or even hire, the staff or agencies to sort of help them, manage all that. Is that kind of where it's at?
I could speak a little bit to the licensing. Again, knowing that I don't work for Sitecore, but I can say that since the acquisition, the licensing has been a bit of a moving target, but where it's sort of netting out is very similar to any typical SaaS-based commerce solution, where there's a fee that is a combination of the license itself, like just having access to the software. Then there's an ongoing, essentially, fee that is based on a percentage of revenue generated, a percentage of sale, essentially. And how those numbers are calculated against one another has been, like I said, a little bit of a moving target. So I wouldn't actually quote you any kind of specific guidance on that, but that's how the structure is set up. So it's like you would see with pretty much most SaaS-based commerce platforms. And separate from if you were to license, say, their experience platform or their discover capability or their personalized capabilities. Are all separate SKUs that you can buy.
Right. So when you buy into the OrderCloud, are you pretty much buying into the entire the license features as well, or is it sort of?
Yeah, it's not broken out, at least as far as I know today. It's not broken out in any sort of sub SKUs or anything like that. You're getting essentially access to this set of APIs that in the diagram that Jaina shared earlier. That's what you get, and then you go start building on it. And then once you launch something and you're in production, you start paying on a subscription basis, and then there's a calculation based on revenue.
Yeah, I see. And just one point of clarification, Victor. So right now, Sitecore is kind of breaking up some of those offering elements. We still, so there is the XP, which has been the flagship of Sitecore for a while, which is more of the more all-in-one sort of monolithic solution. But now we've got OrderCloud, Content Hub, all of those different composable elements where it's, buy best of breed in this section if you want to do headless commerce, buy this for your content platform, and you can do that mix and match. So you can still get the and I think the one that's most famous is XP with the personalization, everything all in one spot. You can still get that, but you can also have the choice to do these building blocks, as well.
I see.
We call add-ons or pluggables, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason maybe wanted to say something there.
I was going to say that I think it was Peter at SubCon last year who he did an analogy of like the platform approach was like you got a big truck. It's all connected and you can drive that truck somewhere, and you want an extra piece on it. It's kind of like it's a big trailer that it adds on. That was the analogy of the platform. And then when you go to the composable, it's like, well, here's all the pieces, kind of like the house. Like here's the pieces of whatever vehicle you want to build. And it's a very different approach from a licensing and software buying perspective, because now you're not thinking, oh, I want to solve all of my DXP things at once, because you may not get everything from Sitecore. So you might want personalization from Optimizely, but you're going to do Content Hub from Sitecore and then mix it with Shopify for your commerce, right? So you're buying all these different pieces. And so by breaking it up, it allows Sitecore to kind of give you that kind of, it'd be great if you got it all, but you can go and find the piece that is the problem you need to solve that Makes sense.
And to Dennis's point, best in breed, right? So whatever fits that business need, you want to make sure that you buy that product. So, and Sitecore is doing a great job with getting the different pieces together. Obviously, OrderCloud being one of those new pieces, right? To make it that much better of a quote unquote platform.
I see. I hope I answered your question, Ken.
Yeah, you did actually. I was interested to hear your perspective on, the things that you would look for.
It varies on universities. I mean, Harvard does it differently. It's just all depending what their real business strategy is. So.
Yeah. I was actually kind of asking in a selfish way as well, because we're starting with SJU in the next couple of weeks. So
I see.
I was just, trying to get ahead of the learning curve. But those will be some of the questions I asked them as well.
Happy to talk to you actually offline.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I have a question for the group, and I apologize. I'm going to need to drop a couple of minutes early to prep for another session, but it occurred to me sort of while we're chatting here, I actually have dinner with Mark Johnson tonight. And he's not really directly involved in the OrderCloud product so much anymore. He's focused on other things inside of Sitecore, but he's obviously very keenly aware of the product and where it's headed, and was the creator of the product and its strategy. And so any questions or feedback that this group would want me to bring to him just while we're chatting over dinner?
I think what Jason said, would probably be, Dave, the main feedback. Like I said, when the first time I sat through OrderCloud enablement, it went right into here's your APIs and code and have fun with it. So I'd love to see, obviously there are great use cases with Aveda and Bachman's, but I'd love to see the use your bricks to build this model, use your bricks to build this model, use your bricks to build this model, and then build whatever you want, right? What ideas does Sitecore have from that concept would be awesome to see.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good one for Mark specifically, because his new remit is a big piece of it is enablement as a concept across Sitecore, across all of their products for all of their audience, clients, partners, internal, so on and so on. So he's the right person to be talking to about that. So I can bring that up for sure.
Yeah, I think I'd add two other things too. I mean, the one thing that I mentioned about making the message intelligible for the entire C-suite, so that they're engaged in the discussion, and it's not just the IT manager or the marketing manager who's have to climb that hill to explain to them why we need to make this shift. Because I think, there's a lot of business leaders that are more in tune with the idea of business agility and packaged business capabilities. So if we can align that with, this is the way a modern enterprise runs. And therefore, to enable a modern enterprise, you need these tools. That's a different sort of conversation as opposed to, please, CFO, give me some tools. So I'd love it to start the other way around rather than, I think we can do more to amplify that message, and then that shifts the conversation. So I think that's one aspect that I'd love to see. The other, since I've talked so long, escapes me at the moment. But it'll come to me, and maybe I'll bring it up.
Maybe it's it's more of a story of, look at this beautiful house. How do you think it got there? And so you're starting with the concept of the house, this beautiful custom house that somebody's dream home. And then you go back to the pile of bricks, let's talk about the steps to get to that, final construct. Maybe that's a bit of a
if you think about how a builder sells houses, right? They have a catalog of, here are all the different floor plans you can get. And then here's a million different options that you can add to the floor plans. So it'd be good to see, here are some ideas of floor plans.
And I think everyone here probably has been introduced to Sitecore's new service catalog, whether you're actually in it or not. That will be something. I think the new expectation is that partners and developers and strategists are coming forward with, here's a starter kit for your OrderCloud marketplace, or here's a connector for OrderCloud and Discover, or who knows what, right? So
Yeah.
that's a huge opportunity for those of us who are partners.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the other thing was actually about partners too. So and I've seen this throughout my Sitecore career, right? So an agency gets a customer who's fallen in love with Sitecore. They go through, they do their design stuff, and now they need to build it. And they go out to a recruiting firm and they tell me, get me some Sitecore people. And they find the first person with a Sitecore certificate and they try to make it work. And 3 years later, they're wondering, why do we have Sitecore? And I think that there is a huge opportunity to add a little bit of oversight and enablement for partners so that we start to do things in the right way and implementations don't fall on their face. And as things get more complex in this composable direction, there's more and more opportunity to mess it up. So I think we need to really just empower partners on all levels to do a better job. So I don't know how we find that. We can help each other. And I think the Sitecore community has been great about that, because when I started Sitecore, I was a slightly cocky .NET developer with a really expensive code for an upgrade. I'm like, it's .NET. How hard can that be? And everybody's smiling because you know the answer to that. And the only thing that bailed me out was guys like, Mr. West and his posts, and Akshay, and people who had best practices out there for us we helped each other. But I think we can do a better job of organizing best practice and giving the support and oversight so that partners don't fall on their faces.
I would agree. And I think the good news on that front is that that's certainly where the partner program is going. If you haven't had a chance yet to dig into the details that Owen and his team sent out, there's going to be a lot more focus on enablement and specialization across products. You're not just a platinum partner because you've done 3 XP implementations and sold this much revenue, right? You actually have to specialize, and you have to have X number of developers and sellers and strategists certified on individual products. And you can decide that we're going to hone in and be a commerce specialist, but we're going to ignore XC or whatever, those options are all going to be available to you, but you're also going to be obligated to keep up. You can't certify your developer on Sitecore 7.2 and be working on 10.1 projects and say that you're good, right? So that's, I think that
I'll applaud that, because I have heard that from them, and that I've heard that, and I believe it, which is great too. It's really believable. I can hear that when they talk about it. What I'll say, counter to that, is it's not just the certification aspect, because I've taken, for example, commerce training. Went through 4 intensive days. I'm a competent solution architect. And I came out of there, and if you asked me if I felt competent to actually build a solution at that point, the answer would have been no. I was certified, and having actually gone since and done an implementation, I learned a lot more by doing it than by going through the training. And so having people who have done it ride along with people who haven't is, I think, the way towards success.
Agree. And I think, Jason, maybe you may know more about this than I, but I, kind of hear whiffs of kind of rethinking how some of the in-house expertise at Sitecore is deployed to support partner enablement and sort of ride along opportunities for that first implementation, or phone a friend access with, I'm a little stumped on this architectural question, or something like that. So I think there's stuff like that in the works. I couldn't obviously share details.
We've always had like services that could be attached as part of a deal, and that would help the partner along with the implementation. It was kind of like a guidance person who would be
the implementation advisory services, I guess.
Yeah, so we've always had that. And then there was my team that was kind of more focused on like global, not just partners, but everybody. How do we create stuff that get people interested and help? But something new that's been building out in the partner enablement group is, I won't call them developer advocates, but they're like technical advisors that they're building up this team. They're doing it in all regions. I can't remember how many there are, but they're almost all of them have expertise from the new stuff, all the headless tech. And then there's a few people who also know the platform stuff in case that comes up. But their role is going to be able to be like, what are best practices? What are like some guidance that we can give to like point partners in the right direction? And their focus is also, they're going to try to, how do we scale that so that like we create enablement content that all the partners can get, rather than just like, I'm going to jump on this particular partner call and help this one person. How do those people in the region go, oh, this is a common problem that I'm seeing pop up. How do we get everybody across it? So that's a team that's being formed right now. There's already several people that are in it, but they're kind of in there getting their legs stage right now.
I think though there's going to be some structured requirements around that too. If I understand the conversations we've had previously, where if it is our team's first OrderCloud implementation, you have to account for whether it's one of those SMEs or some other organization, they have to ride along on that project and sort of validate and so on. And that's going to be as part of your partnership. You don't get to do OrderCloud implementations if you don't have one of, a ride along from Sitecore. And exactly how that's going to look, I don't know all the details, but I think that's going to be a thing.
Anyone who's done a Content Hub implementation has probably seen a similar model, because it was like you would get like a certain amount of services expertise that would come along and ride along with your team, help out with that. I think we did that with commerce earlier too, as well. Actually.
All right, we are 2 minutes from the end.